Well, hi everyone. I'm Caroline, and this is the Trans Narrative Podcast on YouTube. Today, we're sitting down with Naaz Joshi, India's first international trans beauty queen and three-time Miss Diversity. We're also joined with Kristen Brody, and returning from season two, it's Dylan Dickerson joining as co-host. We're really excited about this conversation. It's really inspiring. But before we get started, you know the spiel. Follow, like, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to not miss out on any new episode that we have coming out. Thanks for being here, and I just can't wait to share this with you. So, with that being said, let's get started.
Open up your heart and you are free to be so beautiful.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Trans Narrative Podcast. This is Dylan Dickerson. I'm here with Caroline, Kristen, our special guest, Naaz Joshi, and this is just so incredible for me. I'd love to get this started off because I'm joining as a more regular co-host. I'm as a former guest, and I think this is a really special first interview for me because there's a lot of firsts happening, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. We'll kind of go back and start to the beginning. So, Naz, let's take us back. Take us back to where your story starts. Where did you grow up? What do we want people to know to begin this story?
Okay. So basically, as you all know, I'm from India and I was born in the capital of India called New Delhi. And I was born on December 31st, 1976. And that's about almost 49 years from now. And that time we had very tough, things for people who are from our community, like for example, trans community. We didn't even hear the term trans that time. And when I was born, of course, the doctor assigned me a sex that was of a male. But as I grew up, I didn't find that I'm fitting into the boxes of what male is supposed to be. I was more into the feminine side of me. I used to play with dolls. I used to play with women, so the girls. I used to play with them. And I used to always, put on makeup on. Like I remember very early age at about 4 and 4.5. When I was a preschool, I was in preschool. My teachers would dress me up as a doll and take me to the stage. And I used to sing like We Are Paper Dolls and We Are Paper Dolls. So I was like a kind of favorite with my teachers, but not in terms of like a male, but they used to always treat me like a doll because I used to look like a doll one. And I always thought that I am a woman. I never thought that I'm a man or I'm a boy. I never thought that. And from the very beginning, a lot of people ask me this question: When did you realize that you were a trans woman? For me, no. I always thought that I'm a woman. I never thought I'm a trans woman either. Right? So when I grew up, about say 6 years or 7 years, that was a time when people start objecting. Like in India, we have this neighborhood who's too much into our families. They keep looking whether the child had food or not, whether the girl child is she being sent to school, because a lot of in India, girl children are deprived of education as well, because their parents think that they have to just go on to a different family and they'll get married. And for the boys, they always plan that, oh, they want to go to the school, boys should go to school, boys are the ones who are earning, and boys are the one who are that. We have a very patriarchal society, you can call it that way, in India. So anything that a man does in a feminine manner, that becomes an abuse, that becomes a taboo in the society. So as I told you, I was in a boy's body and I used to like doing my mom's makeup. I used to like wearing saris. I used to make, with the drapes. I used to do a lot of drapes. And my neighborhood, they never liked it. They'd come and used to complain to my mom and my dad, oh, you think your child is intersex? Because that is the only thing that they knew. They thought that it's intersex. They're not transgender. So they were forcing my parents to send me to Hijra community, which I told you, the Hijra community in India is the one who do begging and clapping, and they were the only support groups we had back in the times of 70s and 80s and even 90s for that matter. That was the only place where we could go. But luckily, they had sent me to my uncle's place in Mumbai, in where Bollywood is. And very early on, I started, earning for myself. They put me to a restaurant to do cleaning and all that kind of a job. In the morning, I should do that. In the evening, I should go to school. So my school was a boys' school. So, but being in a boys' school and being a woman myself, it was really difficult for me because they used to always tease me with names. Like we have some Bollywood movies where they put, narration of trans people as somebody. of mockery. They used to like mock at us and they used to make fun of me. Oh my God, you're a woman, you're a lady, so that used to get to my head. I used to come back home and to cry a lot. That was an irony because I didn't know. I thought I'm the only one whom God has made me like this, that I am neither a man nor a woman. What am I? I didn't know myself. That's the only thing that I had was to come and cry. And what happened with me at the age of 11 was I was molested by my own cousin brothers, like my uncle's children. I was molested by them. That left a very deep scar in my heart that while growing up, I thought that 11 or 12 or 13 was an age for me to play, to not even think about sex that time. And when I was introduced to sex in that age, I was not happy. I didn't like it. Honestly speaking, it was not something that is like what you say consensual. It was not consensual. And when you're so young, you're not able to tell your parents or tell your caretakers what happened with you all this while. So that I kept in myself. I told my mom, I think after many, many years that what happened to me, but that was too late because already I grew up and all that. Well, when we talk about, like say I was with my uncle and I didn't have much earnings to myself. I was working at a dhaba. He one fine day he just left me in the middle of a street, a busy street, which I didn't know how to come back and how to go back. Right from there, like he took we have Mela. You know what Mela is? Mela is supposed to be like a lot of people gathering out there doing a lot of festivity stuff. That is called Mela, and we had to Mela, and in that he had put me there, and I was lost. I got lost, and I was picked up by transgender community, which is called the Hijra community, and they took me to with them, and I was not happy there. I said, no, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to do this clapping work, and I don't want to beg, and I used to feel miserable there. So I went to a dance bar, a bar where girls dance there, and what you say a drag performance these days was not there in India at that time. Of course, we have a history of drag performances from very old. It's called Nautanki. That is a drag performance that like a lot like in back in 1920s, 30s. Even in Bollywood, men used to play female parts. I don't know if you are not aware about that, but I'm going to tell you honestly. In 1920s and 30s, when Bollywood started, there was a time when men were the part of a female character as well. So similarly, it went on to long time. So I started dancing like a female there. So I earned a lot of money from there. I was studying as well. And then came age of 18. And 18 was a time when, a teacher of mine told me, why don't you become a fashion designer? Why you want to become because I wanted to be an architect. Honestly speaking, I wanted to be an architect, but I was not very good with studies. Reason being, one, my molestation. And it was not just one time that my molestation was happening. It continued till the age of 17 when I actually said, no, I will not do it more. The first power that which came to me saying no, it was 2017, and I said, not 2007, so I was at 17. It was about, I think, 1993. So I said, no, look, I will not go in for this anymore. And I met, my teacher, and my teacher saw my profile and he saw my drawings. He said, why don't you become a fashion designer? He introduced me to a lot of Indian designers. That time we had Ritu Berry, Ritu Kumar, and all those people, big people. And he introduced me to their work and when and we didn't have access to that we didn't have access to satellite channels in India that time. Satellite channels came in 1994 in India. So when 1994 came and in the 90s I started watching FTV. We got access to FTV then, satellite channel. So that inspired me to become a fashion designer. I went to the topmost school in India for fashion designing. It's called National Institute of Fashion Technology, which was affiliated by Fashion Institute of Technology in US. Okay, so the FIT and NIFT, they were affiliated with each other. So I became a designer, and but when I became a designer, the biggest challenge came to me was we had artisans who were from a very backward society who didn't accept what trans is. For them, trans meant hijra. So they were the ones who created problems for me at workplace. They would like they used to do embroidery for other designers, but they never should do embroidery for me. They said, no, we have a lot of work to do. We can't do your work. They should discriminate me. But they made situation as such that I should quit my job and I should go somewhere. And that's what happened. I quit my job as a designer and I left that place. And all that I could have now is no option left but to do sex work. So I went to, there was this very newly opened gay massage parlor in 2010. It was opened and I joined them and I worked as a sex worker there. And to my luck, what happened was there was this photographer there who had come called Rishi Taneja. He was one of the very big photographers in India who used to shoot for Vogue India, La Officielle, Bazaar, all those magazines. He looked at me and he said, "Why don't you work with me for my biopic? I want to make a biopic on a topic called Life of a Transgender Prostitute." And I said yes, because that time we didn't have many trans women who had come out of this shell. So I said yes. So I worked with him about 3 years. I think 3 years in a back to back. I worked with him for his biopic, and he showcased his collection a lot of places in India. Like it was black and white series where I was having sex and with the client, or where I was dressing up. He just wanted to show the aspect of every. Like he wanted to prove that trans women are women as well, and they are like they are, it's not their fault that if we are in sex work, it's the fault of people who didn't give us a 9 to 5 job. That's why we opted for sex work. Well, in 2013, I ended that sex work, and my mentor, the photographer, he got me jobs as showstoppers for many of the fashion weeks in India. I started my modeling journey in 2013. That was not planned. That just happened because this guy had clicked a lot of photographs of mine, which went viral that time. And in 2015, I was on the cover of a magazine in India that was called Tehelka, and that was famous for doing sting operations on a lot of these Bollywood celebrities who were doing casting couches. So I became face of their brand in 2015, and I got very popular in India then. And I started doing beauty pageants for women. What happened one day was me and my maid, we were sitting in the living room and we were watching a beauty pageant named Femina Miss India. She asked me, sister, why is it not for us? Like, I am a married woman. I also want to be part of beauty pageants. So we started with a pageant called Mrs. India Homemakers, and for homemakers, especially for homemakers. So I started that in 2015, and with an intention of not making money, but to an intention to have these girls having their dreams fulfilled, so that they can be a Mrs. India also, and they can wear a crown. So that was my motivation to do that. So it is also said when we, like when we do good to others, the best thing happens to us. So in 2016, we got a proposal from Miss United Nations, a beauty pageant in US that time, yeah. And they asked, can you send us a Miss Woman, like a girl who's never married? I said, I'm sorry, I don't have any girl because I'm working for Mrs. Girls. So they said, okay, why don't you come and represent your country here? I said, look, I cannot come because it was in Jamaica. Yes, I remember Jamaica, yeah, 2016. And they said, no, you come. I said, I'm a trans woman. They said, no problem. I think Miss Universe had already eradicated this thing that, in 2014 or something, or 2013 or 2012. I think Miss Universe has said that, even if you're a trans woman and use your passport say you're a woman, you can come for a Miss Universe pageant. So that was the thing that they had taken, and I went there and I won a subtitle there called Miss United Nations Ambassador. In 2017, I was continuing with my Mrs. Pageant. In 2017, I got another offer for Miss World Diversity Pageant that was supposed to take place in Lesotho in South Africa, in like near South Africa. Yeah. So we went there to Lesotho. I represented my country and I won. And again, I went in 2018. Again, I went in 2019. See, I was doing it this again and again because what was happening was I was not getting the enough publicity in media, because what was happening was like journalists were more interested in knowing my sad story, like what happened with me in the childhood, what was happening. They were not wanting to write about my accomplishments, and I wanted to get my accomplishment written, because documented, because I thought that it can inspire a lot of trans women to be a model and to be a role model for other society, and also it will help the other parents, that they will not let their children go out of their family, because they would know that their child can also make them proud. And that was my idea. That's why I wanted to do it again and again and again. So,
You
yeah,
you just
that
hit
was
on
my
something
journey.
so amazing because Caroline, I know we had talked about this, about why we're doing the podcast, right? And why the narrative version of this is so important. And before I ask the next question, I just have to say, you are so good at this coherent story from beginning to end. Like we didn't even, I was realizing there were questions and things to let, but the timeline and the way you told that story itself, the way you framed your own narrative. And I think that's something that's so important. Like you just said,
Thank you.
nobody, no, people didn't want to tell, right, the good parts, all of the things. You feel like sometimes maybe I think everyone here, all that we accomplish, right, as trans people, all that we know about ourselves, the good things that in our lives, we can write down this resume, we can have the CV that's 15 pages, all these places we go, but people are always either interested, right, in what's your body look like, or this sad story you have to tell, and they feel like that's what they want to see or put on the magazine rather than anything about you as a person or what you do. So I wanted to ask, how does that feel? Like you've accomplished so much. You have a Wikipedia page, right? And you have, does it still feel like that sometimes? That people are still trying to do that?
Yes, you know what? See, with me, I think I have seen a lot of discrimination in my life. Also, I want to tell you how I started Miss Universe Trans Beauty Pageant because that also has a story to it. There is this pageant in Latin America. I will not name them. In 2020, I had applied for them because I had never gone to any trans pageant in my life till 2020. So 2020, before the COVID, I had applied for them, and sadly, my dad had cancer that year, and he passed away. And the contest it got postponed to March 2021. I told them, look, I'm not able to come, but because I have committed to you, I'm sending you my successor. So I sent them my successor, and what happened to me was they saw my, like, obviously they saw my portrait. They didn't see my full body till then, and when they saw my full body, they started body shaming me on in public places, like in social media, and I felt very sad. I said, look, what if I'm like, so old? What if I have a heavier body? What if I've got plus size body? Why can't we have a pageant which accepts everything? Because there are many beauty pageants for trans people who have certain age limit, like 38, I think 38 or 34. And but that is what inspired me. And in 2022, I said, okay, doesn't matter. I'm going to launch my own beauty pageant where I'm going to accept every form of sizes and beauty, because beauty has no standards. Let's not keep beauty in a boxes. Let's have girls who are plus sizes. Let's have girls who are above 40. And today, like in 2025, we will be having girls who are 50 plus as well and who are coming to beauty pageant, which I feel is incredible because celebrating beauty at 50 is awesome, you know. And yeah, please take me to your question because I got carried away. Please take me to your question.
Okay, it's okay. I feel like I've also been and monopolized when we had questions. So what do we get? There's so much honestly to ask, and I'm glad you put extra time on this one.
Yeah, because and also Mr. Clicked to me because see, I feel that there are a lot of time that we are focusing. I think in the world around we are focusing on trans feminine side of the beauty pageant, but we have not discovered till now the Mr. Side of the masculine side of trans individuals. And I wanted to do that with a lot of heart and soul into it, and that is why we are launching Mr. Universe Trans this year.
I guess I hope this will air after the 30th because I that's the connection that we had here. I had been I saw it, and a friend actually sent that to me when you had posted it originally, because of my experience here, building a pageant, to that size and for a trans men, and I've never seen honestly an international pageant that has done this and that has actually said that you exist and you deserve to be elevated the same way as we are, and to be able to stand alongside our sisters, and to finally go into that same spot, because we talk about our community, like even though we sometimes are in silos, right, and we don't get to highlight those issues. So I am really excited to mention that connection of being able to represent at the Mr. Universe Trans pageant. But I learned a lot through this, and you had told me so many things about why you're doing what you do, what the purpose of the pageant is, the foundation attached to the pageant. And I think that that's the next question. As we're leading into the flow of it, what is the Queen Universe Trust, the foundation? What is the purpose that you're trying to do with that trust, with the
Okay.
pageant?
Okay. So Queen Universe Trust is definitely I am the founder, and we have a couple of directors as well. The basic of Queen Universe Trust is like we have bylaws in India. So the bylaws say that we're going to work for trans individuals, and we're going to work for climate because that is the second thing that is very close to my heart. because there are a lot of floods happening everywhere around the world, and people are not even talking about Mother Nature and all that, because people are spending a lot of time on internet these days. They don't have even time to grow a tree. So we are doing that. And third is women empowerment. So we have a division called Mrs. Division as well in Queen Universe. And yeah, so of late, see, by now, like Queen Universe Trust is like now 1 year old. But before that, we registered. I used to go to schools and colleges. I started my journey of Queen Universe Trust in 2021, because that was the time when I started going to a lot of schools and colleges and talking about gender equality. Because it's very important to tell the children who are there in the school at school level so that they don't discriminate. And I also, have I can say I started also telling them to have a gender neutral washroom in schools, and a lot of schools have now in India are making that a gender neutral washroom where nobody is judging you on your gender. Even if you identify yourself as trans or you identify yourself as anything from our community, they can use that gender neutral washroom. So yeah, so that is what we are in for gender. We are promoting gender equality, and we are promoting diversity within the community itself. Because when we say that beauty is only 36, 24, 36, it's not like that. Beauty is everything. And in our trust or in a pageant, what matters is your story, how powerful your story is, and how powerfully you have overcome your problems, or like day-to-day lives. How have you overcome your discrimination? Because in India still I have seen a lot of people committing suicide, and that is not the thing. I mean, you cannot be just committing suicide because people are kind of they are after your life, or they want to be they're trolling you over online. And I personally do a lot of this calling to a lot of young kids who are facing that dilemma in their mind, whether they should live or they should end up their life. Because I feel that each life matters. It doesn't matter whether you come from our community or not, but each life matters. So I give them free consultation over the phone, that what can they do with their life.
It's very interesting. The beauty world, the pageant world is insular and of its own. And by the way,
Yeah.
as a 75-year-old trans woman, I appreciate that
Ah,
you're thinking above the age of 50. That's great. But for most of us, and for people in the United States who are primarily going to be watching, I think the question we have is, are you doing better in India than we are in dealing with? We thought we had made progress for many years. We thought we were getting closer to equality,
yeah.
to broader acceptance. And then we've had horrible reversals for a little bit. Is that the same in India, or are you doing better than we are at pushing back against that?
Oh, you know what? There's certain areas that we are doing better in a way. Like in India, the transgender community from like very old age, ancient time, have been worshipped. They are also called demigods. Like when
Mhm.
you talk about Hijra community, they are demigods in their own thing. So we see a lot of people who come and touch our feet and say, oh, Mother, give us some blessings and all, and that is okay. And also when we didn't have this gender neutral washroom, even still now also, like at airports, like a lot of airports and a lot of these domestic, bus stands, we don't have gender neutral washroom. So if I want to go and use a women washroom, people are welcoming there. We don't have that, oh, you're using a female washroom, why are you using that? And you will be sentenced to jail. No, I think we are better off there. And the biggest challenge that we are having right now, as you people are having also in US, is that job opportunities are really less for trans individuals, especially in trans feminine side. Trans masculine side, still they get a good job, and we don't get those jobs. And people who claim that they are giving us job, they give us very basic salaries. Like you can talk about $200. So what is $200 in today's world? For you work for 30 days and you get $200. So a lot of people, they get back and they say, okay, no, $200 I'm earning through begging and clapping, or earning it through sex work. Why should I waste my whole day? And that is the biggest challenge, because to mainstream the transgender community in India is difficult because of begging and clapping. Because I said demigods, so people are going for begging and clapping. They're going for all the auspicious occasions where they even can get $1,500 for like performing at 1 hour. That's it. So people don't want to leave those jobs and come to mainstream because mainstream give them a very limited salary.
So it's the same in terms of if you want to grow up and be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant in India and you're trans, you have the same challenges that we have here. That
Yeah, and it's very few. I mean, you would not believe that we had our first transgender Supreme Court lawyer just like a couple of months ago. I mean, we had very few transgender doctors or lawyers, or everybody wants to. I don't know why, but everybody wants to go and become a model. Everybody wants to become an actor. There's many representation in media, but there's not much representation in academics, which is sad that our community doesn't go for academics much in India. I think the biggest reason was that they were asked to leave the schools because they were very feminine, or they were like, see, trans masculine is still very well accepted in India, but not trans feminine side. No, trans women are not well accepted.
I think that, this kind of hits on a topic that I've discussed with other people, like about trans lives. It's that people really, when we talk about people going into, they want us in movies, they want us on stages, or they want us for consumption. They think that everything about our lives is performative, and it's okay to have, this job where, oh, you're a model because, there's that interest and that scrutiny, but we're taken more seriously in that respect than as academics sometimes, right? And I feel like there's not only the barriers that you'd mentioned, just trying to walk into a place, but that expectation that is, you know, that's all you're going to be.
well,
Therefore somebody's consumption.
in American media representation, trans people are either prostitutes, victims, or criminals. That's it. You will never see in a series a trans professional. You'll see somebody who's been killed, someone who's committed a crime, or someone who is doing something wrong.
Yeah, or they're
Yeah.
yeah, like you had
No, yeah,
mentioned the
even
victim
yeah,
part. Yeah.
yeah. No, even what she just told about the trans murders have started happening now and in India. They were not used to be trans murders. We never used to hear about trans murders, but trans women are getting murdered in India as well. I don't know why and how come this maybe I don't know what is influencing them. The criminals, but criminals are criminals. But what I feel is that if parents they support their children, because if to be in academics they have to study a lot. And for studies, they need money, and they need an inspiration because our trans people are not, I think, different. They are also same people. I think they have same set of brains what even the state people have. We can also become, doctors, engineers, pilots. But all what we need is we need an opportunity, and we need our family support to help us to achieve those dreams because our parents are the ones who can fund our education because sadly, education needs a lot of funds.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And it's probably the most important thing you can tell to any trans kid is you may take a bit of abuse, you may take teasing, you may take a lot, but if you stay in school,
Yeah.
if you get your education, you have a better outcome in your life. And it's
Correct. And also, a lot of people ask me what is the best time to come out. I tell them, please don't come out till the time you're independent because you don't know how your family is going to react. So it's better always to be independent financially and then come out to your parents or to anyone you want to come out.
that's hard. That's hard. I mean, people have to hide themselves and wear a mask for so long, and some are saying, "No, I'm not going to do that." But even if you
Yeah.
come out as a teenager or a young kid, staying in school and
Mhm.
putting up with, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was the kid most likely to be stuffed in a trash can somewhere. Um,
Yeah.
okay,
It's
guess what? I'm 75 as well. I'm still here.
and
Um,
we're
and you
we're
will
still
get
here.
through it. You will get through it. And if you stay in school and if you get an education, you can succeed.
Mhm.
But
Correct.
Absolutely.
otherwise, you have no chance. No
Yeah.
chance.
And
How do
this is
you, Naz, how do you leverage your platform to educate and act change beyond just, with modeling and beauty standards? How do you leverage your platform to educate and enact change? Did I come through?
it was a little quiet, but it did, yeah.
Sorry. So how do you leverage your platform to educate and enact change?
Okay. So basically, what is happening is that with beauty pageants, you get a lot of fame as well. And I would want people to join beauty pageant because if they have fame, they will have power to voice out their opinions. And it's very important that, like maybe in future, some of us should be the part of the what you call the policy making team, whether it's in parliament, like in Indian parliament, or maybe it's a minister. Because I also aim to be in politics maybe after 5 years down the line, because I believe that if I can go there in the member of parliament and I could raise my voice and I can tell them what exactly it is pain to be a trans woman in India or anywhere in the world, we can definitely bring in a change. And I think beauty pageant does do that thing for us.
It's something that I've always thought was so fascinating about, I when I very first started, of course, I've been a performer for like 20 years as well. I never thought I would do pageants, and I never thought I would be that person, but I can honestly tell you, and all of the skills that I have learned that have been useful in my adult professional life. I went to college, I went to grad. All of the skills that I actually learned that were useful and got me somewhere were the things I learned through pageantry. How to sit in front of a panel of 7 people who are way more knowledgeable than you, and tell them your story succinctly, and not be scared. How to go up in front of people, even if a bunch of things had gone wrong, everyone's saying things about you, like, and just how to navigate a lot of difficult things. So when you're saying this platform is that gateway to, what politics is very similar. It's, being in that public eye, it's being able to, you have cameras on you and you may be the voice of this trans community and you get 60 seconds to, and that clip's going to be played over and over again. You're giving people that
True.
power. And that's something I was wondering about is what are some of those little pieces, right, that people may not realize the connection between pageantry and politics and that real world.
Yes. No, actually, you'll be surprised to know that we did have a girl from a pageant who said 20 years back that she will be in politics. She was part of Femina Miss India World that time, and she didn't win, but then she became the member of cabinet ministry in India. I mean, they are interconnected very well, and she became an actor. And I think we have a couple of actresses in India from Bollywood who are the member of parliament.
Oh, if there's anybody that knows politics here, it's Kristen. Kristen knows all too well about that.
Yeah, and Dylan, if you get 60 seconds, wow, more like 8 or 10.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and in the United States, we have at some levels, we have some transgender folks who are represented. In law, we have a couple who are now judges. Um,
Wow.
but it's a very, very small number, a very
Yeah.
small number. And it's very, very difficult because although in this group tend not to think of it that way, you cannot win elected office being the transgender candidate. You have to be the best candidate, who, by the way, is transgender.
Mhm.
There aren't enough transgender people to elect anything. Um, so you have to be the person who is appealing to the broader society. And I think that's an important thing because what I define as the transgender agenda is really simple. The transgender agenda is a normal lifespan. Full stop. Being able to do anything that anyone else can. We're not defined by our gender. We're defined by who we are and what we can accomplish. So our goals are a good place to raise a family, a good job, a good economy. Um, what's wrong with that?
The
Why?
same as everyone.
Yeah, yeah, it's what everybody wants, right?
And I want, like, I feel like I've said this before. I want to be the trans part of my life to be the least interesting thing about me.
Mhm.
I don't want that. And I think that's something that, you know, while I'm doing this, I had talked to Naz about this and I thought it was something that was really interesting. I want to be a role model and do this, right? This pageant, and you want to create role model. But I didn't want to be a role model just for trans
Mhm.
people. What is wrong with me just being a role model for
Role model.
people?
Full stop.
Of
Right.
course,
Like,
of
like
course.
that's it.
So I mean, you would be surprised to know that, but I would get a lot of DMs on my Instagram telling that, ma'am, you're inspiration for the entire society, not just trans women.
Mhm.
Because, see, I mean, yeah, that is one thing which we should be able to do it, that not just inspire our community itself, but inspire everybody as a whole. Because if you want to get into politics or at a broader spectrum, you need to be popular among the masses.
For
And
sure. And the way to
and
do that
that's
is to
Yeah.
reach out and to talk about what's important to you, which is not just things related to your gender. It's
Mhm.
things
Yeah.
related to everyone's life.
Right.
So this is
And
a fun question. I said 60 seconds, like you said, you might get 10, but usually, and if people don't know out there, the very first thing a lot of pageants do is to ask you, you'll sit down, of course, you shake hands, this panel, tell me about yourself. And it's the hardest thing. It's the hardest question
Yes.
to answer because, like you said, what am I telling people? And it's the whole narrative, like the whole point of this podcast too, that I love, Caroline. Like, you have 60 seconds and all these people are gonna that's your first impression that's going to last forever. And do you want in a trans pageant even it's hard, like you could say I came out and everyone's going to have that part of the story. Do you want someone else to introduce you, for example, as, oh, this trans person, they came out, they did search, like what is your story in those 60 seconds? And I tell people, don't lead with the sad parts of your life, lead with what you're proud of, lead with how people,
Yeah.
like, you want to be introduced on, getting your Academy Award. Lead with that. Lead with
Right.
who you are, and not the list of surgeries or the things that have happened to
Mhm.
you. And I think that's a good skill too, because I actually, this is for Krista too. How many times do you get to see a trans person on TV and they'll pick the 10 seconds that are, ooh, the most difficult, and that's what they're going to play over and over
Of
again?
course. And if I had to do the who are you? Tell me who you are. Being trans wouldn't be in the top part of anything. I'm a parent, I'm a lawyer. I used to be a television news reporter and anchor. I work in politics, and I'm trying to make my community a better place. Oh, and yes, by the way, I'm transgender.
yeah, I
And
find myself doing that often. Someone will be like, "Aren't you trans?" I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I guess I am." Like
I forgot.
I forget all the time because because here's and this is something that it's a nice dynamic with the show that we've explored is that who we are as people, who we get to be, who we create ourselves to be, it's not inherently restricted to just trans people. And I think that that's, you know, and I think that this kind of, touches back to the systems that we're in. Um, that 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 it seems that people only think you can explore your gender if you're trans, and I think that does a disservice to humanity because humans, we all should just be able to express ourselves as free as we would like, free from the shackles of the patriarchy and the capitalist systems that we're in. How does standing tall in this patriarchal industry transform the narrative, Naz?
Well, honestly speaking, I think not just for me, for everybody, one needs to stand tall because if you are not standing tall, people are going to dump you and people are not going to listen to you. It's very, very important. And what makes me do this every time is not just me, because for me, I have been always a very giving person since as a child. I have been very, very giving person. For me, like people, a lot of people tell me that you should always put yourself before somebody else. But no, I put others before me because it's very important to do that. Because see, we all live life for ourselves, but what's important is to live life for others, and that is what is going to give you happiness. There have been many times that I also felt, okay, I should commit suicide or something. I'm not getting like it's enough now. I should just give up. No, the second time I think if I give up, I think there'll be 100 more people who give up. I have to live for them. I have to live for them, and of course I do. If a lot of people think that I'm a role model to them, I cannot let something bad happen to me mentally and physically. I have to be strong enough to stand tall for my people, for my community, and for everybody who loves me. Because I have pets. I got two dogs who love me very much. I got three birds who love me very much. I need to be for them. I need to be there. I need to be there for people who love me, and for people who hate me as well. I need to be there for them also because let them see me growing. Let them see me that I am becoming a woman of substance, a woman of, somebody who's like being adored by so many people, and let them get jealous. And that's what keeps me motivating all the time.
I love that. Let them get jealous of me. All these people that
Yeah.
I maybe that's a little part of that. I just, so you mentioned the need to be strong for others, but I know that there's moments, but we're not. What I know that we all have that. What do you say to yourself when you're to yourself when you're struggling and don't feel like you're going to be strong? 'Cause I think there's a lot of us right now that we're feeling that. So what do you say to yourself to keep yourself going?
Well, I tell myself this too shall pass. I say that, okay, good times, one there, the bad time will also fly. It's all a matter of time. That's it. I think time heals everything. That's what I tell. It is this too shall pass. That's enough to say to yourself.
I didn't want to monopolize anything. I feel like we had gone back and forth in our little WhatsApp conversations. There'll be 4 minute tech like just talking back and forth. And there's so much to talk about. And I guess I will bring it back a little bit to how we know each other through this pageant and kind of what Nas had mentioned, wanting to do the Mr. side of things is that we see a lot of stories, we see a lot of platforms like this. Um, and there is a similarity I see with the politics and everything. And I see a lot, if Kristen can jump in, and anybody who sees stuff in the US, a lot of the people who have positions are trans women. We have given them platforms, we have given tools, but I feel like trans men are in this interesting space where, and it's a hard conversation where we grow up 20 some years of our life, and as soon as we step in it, we it's like we have to step back again, right? Um, and I respect that, but to be in a space where um somebody said to me, "You deserve this too." I just want to. Were there fears about putting the misters in? Did some of the girls, for example, feel that this would take away from them? Because I feel like I never want to do that as a person. I stepped into a place of male privilege, right? And I was there some hesitance on your board or anything with that? Or was it just like, we all deserve, and it was an easy decision because maybe it was, and maybe I'm overthinking it.
No, no, no. I think it's very important when we talk about equality. We should have equality among trans women and trans men as well. If we have platforms for trans women, why won't we have platforms for trans men as well? We should need to hear their stories as also, because we might think on this side of of the bridge that, oh fine, the things might be really good for them. But we don't know the stories. We have to hear them. We have to really listen to them, their stories as well. I mean, there's so many stories about them, and there's so many challenges. I think they also face a lot of challenges when it comes to especially using, for example, public washrooms, and we really need to hear their stories. I think we need to hear their stories a lot.
I think
I,
though that trans men in a way have a unique advantage in that unlike trans women or many trans women who don't blend into society as well, it's what people talk of as passing, a phrase that I will never use, that
Yeah.
word that I will never use because you're not trying to pass yourself off as something, you're being yourself. But trans men blend in. They may be on the average a little shorter than cis men, but you're not going to pick a trans man out walking down the
Hmm.
street. It's just not going to happen.
Agree.
you have
I
a
agree.
lot, yeah, a lot of us have that choice, right? Who are on testosterone to do that. And I found honestly though, this is something that yes, I do that. But when we're in our own spaces, when I out myself as a
Mhm.
trans man, I suddenly feel like I get pushed back, even when I go into my spaces here, clubs, oh, I'm not seen as equals and I'm going to be talked to a certain way as soon as people know that. And there's something about among trans men, and because we know we can walk around the world doing that, there are a lot of us, we will wear the flag, we'll have the tattoos, we will have that. So because I, it's a choice to reject that privilege for a lot of us. And,
Sure.
and and I think that it's a responsibility for me, and that's one of the things that I had talked about with Nas so much was I'm a trans man who has a good job at I'm a good place in my life in the United States, and I'm going there to represent a country that's doing a lot of really honestly shitty things for trans people. It affects us here, and it affects people all over the world, and going there to reject a lot of what look I a lot of that. I think that's a conversation we need to have. And it's not just having a platform, right, as a trans man, but Nas is giving this what I think is an opportunity to say, here's the model of masculinity I want to be, not just for trans,
Yeah.
but to reject all of this nonsense and to stand there and be there for people who maybe, trans women who are not safe, be that person who walks in those spaces and amplifies their voices when people don't feel safe. That's a
Mhm.
responsibility of the masculinity that I think giving that platform for me. And I think that that's something that I wanted to highlight that you're doing is amazing because it's not just, hey, we have struggles and we want to amplify that, but what is the power of like that support swapping? What can we do for each other in these spaces? And that's what I think that I'm hoping to do. So that you mentioned, and I'm leading into a question with this, I promise. The platform of Man on a Mission. What is that for the advocacy part of the pageant? And I just want to, what does that mean? As a trans woman, like what kind of man is a role model to you, and or to your community? Like this is
Okay.
the kind of man I
So
like to see.
we have often heard this term called beauty with purpose that Miss World is all about. So similarly, our organization is also about raising charities for people in India. I mean, who don't have money for education, for that matter, or who don't have enough money to even survive. Because during COVID, we saw that there were trans people, Hijra people, who used to earn like every day on an everyday basis. They didn't get any jobs that time because they were confined in their home. They were isolated. They couldn't go out and earn their bread and butter. So what we did was we raised funds for them. We raised funds and we bought confectionaries for them. And we bought day-to-day food for them. Similarly, we our pageant for Mr. Universe Trans, we have a Men with Mission project. When Men with Mission is that an advocacy project that is close to your heart. It can be anything. It doesn't mean that you are a trans person. You have to work for trans person. You can choose for anything. You can choose for working for dog, working for animals, working for nature, working for women empowerment, working for gender equality, anything that comes to close to your heart. I mean, do that and be a role model for the society because we as human beings should give to society as well. It doesn't matter how society treated us, but what matters is how we treat them matters more. So we have to and do some kind of advocacy work because that is also is a mission because for every man or a woman to bring happiness to others, and that is what this advocacy project makes you do. That makes you bring smiles to a lot of underprivileged people, especially in India.
I I have, my relationship to my gender and my understanding of myself has shifted over the years, I and I wonder how well I can understand as from my perspective how the culture and society has shifted my understanding of myself and how I present and how I navigate and communicate to the world. How has your identity evolved as you've navigated society in India, which is a very different experience for me in the States? What has your experience been?
Okay. See, we as human beings, we always change with time. I mean, we talk about when we were 0 to 10 years, we were some other person. From 10 to 20, we were other. 20 to 30, we were other. 40 to 50, we are other person. Right now, I'm going to turn 49 this year. For me, the world has changed a lot. Like what I used to think about world earlier, I used to hate them. I used to really feel, oh my God, they're all bullshit people. They're bad people. No, for me, no. Right now, what matters to me is to bring happiness to other people. That's what matters to me because I have experienced that when I go on a road and I see a beggar or I see somebody who's hungry, I just buy them, some food and I give them. It makes me feel very happy. Earlier, it used to be the time used to be like me, me, myself. I used to always keep thinking about me. Oh, I'm a trans woman. I should look very pretty. I should wear this makeup on. Or, for that matter, like you and me are talking, we had a brute interview, like there was an interview channel and there's a Brute in France, and also in India. The Brute India, I was doing an interview. Of course, I put on a lot of makeup on. I'm talking about 2022. Yeah, so I put on a lot of makeup on and wore an evening gown, and I sat in front of the camera. I said, "Look, let's interview." But now with you, like I'm not wearing a makeup. Also, I'm wearing a traditional Indian outfit, what people wear in everyday basis, because now my personality has changed. I want to show people who I am truly. I don't want to be behind a mask like a makeup or something. Though I have got nothing against it, but that is what I have become. I have become a person who is more giving now. I want to give to the society because I believe I'm at 50. I've lived more than half of my life. And whatever life I have left, I just want to use it for others, for others' upliftment, for others' happiness. And that's what I'm doing right now.
That's great. And it's,
Thank
I think
you.
everybody can relate to it. We change as people as we grow. And trans
Yeah,
people are no different than anybody else. Who you were
correct.
as a teenager is not who you are when you're grown.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
at least for me.
Some would
It
say
was,
some of us regress, but it's a whole different discussion.
it's that again is not exclusive to people. Um, but it's a funny, not say funny, but I'm with Caroline too. Like I think it's something that it might be a sort of universal experience. Is like that we said we transition and we feel like we have to front like heavy load up front. Okay, I got to perform and do this. I'm transitioning. I got to be this kind of mess. I'm going to reject this, and it's not long though before you start to be able to be like, you know what? I didn't transition just to fit another box. I
Oh,
didn't.
exactly.
I didn't. And then you just get more comfortable. And as you get more comfortable in yourself, like you said, things evolve. You start to open the doors that you had closed off in your own mind about yourself. And like I I think that's something that you kind of hit on. Like as I get older and as we all get like there's just an even deeper understanding
Mhm.
and a lot more
I,
doors open.
I definitely feel that way because I feel myself drifting from the stereotypical, if you will, ways of presenting as a trans woman. And because here I was in my 20s trying to figure out who I was. I didn't like labels. I abandoned those. I was free in myself. And then, I still struggled because I didn't have this identity. And then I found the trans community and they welcomed me in. But then after a few years, I found myself adhering to a nerd term. I wasn't trying to be a man as I was in my teens and 20s. Now I was trying to be, so, and it felt like, well, why can't I just be me? And oftentimes there's a lot in the community, and I recognize because there's safety, we want to be accepted, we want to blend in. So then you see somebody that's like, well, I don't like wearing makeup. The only thing that I have is a little filter that I put onto the Zoom call that makes it look like, that's all I do. And I don't wear makeup. One, because I don't know how to do it. Two, I touch my face too much. And three, I don't think that I should have to because
You don't have to.
no, really, because who am I doing it
On
for?
the other hand, others of us, I mean, you will never see me without a full face of makeup because I would scare little children. Um,
See, now I wonder, do I scale children or should I put makeup on? I don't know. That's a silly question. I'm not gonna say.
again,
There is so much I can do to scare little children that has nothing to do with my face. Like and that is a
Okay, I
horrible
don't
thing to
know.
say in
This
a
doesn't. I don't
podcast.
know if I should put that in.
yeah,
Like
right.
I said,
That's not
that's
the.
the
That's
10
not.
seconds they're
Those
gonna take,
wordings are
right?
not. That was not a
That's
good.
the 10 seconds. We're gonna like I it came out of my mouth and I was like, oh, that's
That
gonna
is.
sound so
Oh
bad.
God, Carolyn, please remember to edit that. Oh, okay.
I'm gonna say
So
like go back for those last 15 seconds and make sure Dylan does not
you know what the
The,
funny
get
thing
on
is that
CNN
I'm gonna
for
edit out other
stupid
things,
things.
but I'm gonna forget to edit this part out. So
That is
oh, good.
I
but
know I'm always that
it
way.
was
I'll listen
more
back and I'll be like, crap, oops, I forgot. So audience, if you ever hear thing, that's because I forget
I
sometimes.
like playing pranks. That's really what I meant. But anyway,
Yes, no, I know. This is the way it came out.
I have
Is
lots of nieces and nephews that are they're they
yeah.
Fortnite games and yeah.
So speaking on those, the way we're supposed to model ourselves, the public presence that we're supposed to maintain, because you'll see that a lot, especially in social media. You'll see people saying, well, you're not, you don't wear makeup, you're not, that's like, all of these things that are being held against us. How do you, Naz, how does your modeling and your public presence matter beyond just beauty? And what do you hope that it models for others?
Okay. So I'm going to take you back to early 2010s. Like we didn't have any trans model in India then when I started modeling. And when I went into modeling and when I made it big, especially in 2019 when I made a history of winning a same pageant three times in a row, there were many trans people who came out, who especially after COVID, and we had also 377 in India that criminalized LGBT people in India, lesbian, gay, and bisexual. They were like, I mean, it was a taboo. It was a criminal act. If you were caught up in any action with same sex, you could have been sent to jail for 14 years. And yeah, that rule got rolled out in 2018. And all this happened because we had representation of trans people and gay people, and yeah, everybody, we had representation. Our government started seeing us, started watching us, so visibility became very, very important aspect. And post COVID in 2021 and 2022, we saw a blast of people, our community people who just came out. And I meet a lot of people on a day-to-day basis who come and tell me from my community that, look, ma'am, you are our role model. We really look up to you. And when I was there, I mean, when I had to look for an inspiration in India, I had no one to look after because we didn't have representation for that matter. And I had to look at maybe Kathleen Jenner or Lavanya Cox for that matter, because they were the people whom I knew. I mean, and knew from internet, and those are the people whom I looked up to. And yeah, so things have changed a lot ever since. Yeah, there have been representation about me as a model or me as a beauty queen. Today, a lot of girls in India want to become beauty queens, and the best part about it is Miss Universe now has, especially in a lot of countries, there are a lot of trans representatives who are there. Last year for Miss Universe India, we had three girls who were in top 51. This year we had two girls who are in top 51 of Miss Universe India. So I think, yeah, so definitely pageants are helping a lot of girls to come out of their shell and come out of their comfort zones and accepting them. Yes, we are women and we are here to stay.
I think it also helps cis girls as well. So, I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
think
since
it's
they are competing
enough.
against these girls, yeah, I mean, that's really hats up to. And also, in a lot of states in India, we have a trans director. Like we have I know my friend, she owns four states as a state director, like Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, and Punjab, and Uttarakhand. Like four states she's heading. She's a trans woman herself. And also the very fact that Miss Universe is headed by one of the trans women. I mean, JKN from JKN Global Group, she is there. I mean, that's such a proud moment for us that a cis pageant is owned by a trans woman.
It's something that we get asked a lot, I think, on the pageant side. It's like, aren't you just reinforcing, right, these stereotypes? And I think that it's something that, how do we respond to that question? Because we could go on for an hour, but what is a quick way to say, like, is that actually not reinforce? How does it challenge it?
Yeah, but why is it? Whoa, hang on. That's leading to the conclusion
Yeah,
that this representation of femininity or masculinity is somehow inappropriate. And for some people, that stereotype got to be a stereotype because that's how we're comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, and what one is the very sad part about our trans women is that people expect us to look like a woman. I mean, which is practically not possible, without doing surgeries, or either you come out, or either you start transitioning in your puberty age, then also you can up to look up to a certain extent like a woman. It's a very sad story that people expect trans women to look like women, which is a very, very, I mean, I don't like that comparison at all. That why are we compared to cis women all the time? Why the beauty? When people say, "Oh, you're a beautiful trans woman," and for them, beauty means a trans woman is beautiful only because she's looking like a woman. I mean, that is one thing that I want to eradicate.
Mhm. And I've often felt that way myself, is comparing myself to that of cisgendered women. And, that's kind of where, in the last year, I realized that I was doing the same thing that I did when I was living, presenting as a male, is that I was trying to just adhere to a standard that I just couldn't. And it's not right, and I don't think it's fair that we hold up to that. Um, so Naz, winning Miss World Diversity three times in a row and being titled India's first trans beauty queen, how does that feel to have that weight of that title on you? And how does that affect you personally?
Yeah, definitely, it did affect me in a positive manner. That today, for that matter, people just like earlier. I remember when I just was very new to modeling industry, and I had to hire a PR company that time. But today, I don't even have to hire a PR company. People just give me a call. Like, oh, we're talking about we're talking from Times Group. We want to take your interview. And when these interviews are published, young kids read it. They get inspired a lot. But the sad part is that, you can say sad part or you can say plus part, that They don't let me be weak. They tell me, no, you cannot be weak. As a trans Joshi or as a public figure, I can't express my tears in public because if I do that, a lot of my followers who are there on Instagram, like luckily I got 77,500 followers on Instagram, they're gonna feel weak. And I'm followed by a lot of trans women in India, a lot of trans females in India. They follow me, my sisters and my daughters. I don't want them to, I mean, to feel sad and to feel weak because I think 2 3 days ago, one of our sisters who was into transitioning, she committed suicide. She committed suicide because as I told you about the neighborhood, neighbors used to taunt their families that why how come your boy is becoming a woman. So he committed suicide, and that is what I don't have to do. I have to inspire girls. Hey girls, if I am there, if I can be somebody who's a trans woman and doesn't look like a woman, I'm fine. It's okay. Let's live and let's live not for other people, let's live for ourselves. Yeah, I mean that is one of the most negative things that happens with me is like I can't be myself many times, but that's okay. That much sacrifice I can do for my people. Why not? I can do that.
I've Go ahead, Kristen.
We all have
Uh,
moments in life where we feel like we want to cry, we want to get shattered, we want to really, really give up. But being a public figure in India, you can't do that.
I think that's really important.
Yeah,
That's that everybody, cis or trans, is going to have those
yeah,
moments. But for trans people, it can be much more impactful
yeah.
because there's
And
less
also more often we all break down a lot. I think it's like more often because of discrimination from family and from the world. We break down more often than a cis person.
sure. And
it's
there isn't the broader support network that you can lean on. I mean, here in the United States, one of the real crimes of the Trump administration, one of the many, is that they have defunded the trans suicide hotline. They've cut back funding for programs like that, and reaching out to those who are in that moment is that much harder as a result. And I think it's wonderful that you in India are that example of a trans woman or a trans person who has the strength and the ability to reach out and say, hey, if you're struggling, there's a path forward for you. Look, here I am. And that's vital. That's vital.
what is one story you still want to tell through your advocacy?
Oh, you know what? When I was a kid, I remember I read a story about a spider who wanted to climb a wall. He tried for 7 times and he failed. And that is one story that I want to tell everybody that you will be failing. Take failure as a lesson to success because failures are also good. They teach us a lot of lessons, and it's not always the first time you're going to be superstar. You have to work hard. You have to work really, really hard for success and keep working hard. That is one story that I want to tell everybody about a spider who just climbed the wall on the eighth attempt.
That's I think that's the story. Like I always go back to that one quote that's like, if you haven't failed, it means you haven't tried enough.
Yeah,
And that's
Yeah.
and but it's also that challenge you mentioned, like you don't want to as trans people, you don't want to be weak, right? You don't want to be the one that they use as the example, oh, and that's the only part they remember. So there's that balance, right? We had that internal struggle, right?
yeah.
What was there a defining moment in your life that made you realize that you'd want to move? What was that moment that made you decide that you were no longer hiding and you were going to shine and blossom into who you've become? Where was that moment in your life?
Okay. So what happened was that I was into sex work, and there was a time that I was coming to modeling the mainstream society because being model, I was not just being hired because of a trans model. I was a model, and I didn't have any gender. So there were people who said, I mean, no. if you're coming to mainstream, we are going to tell the world that you were a sex worker once and you won't be accepted and you won't be given, pageant, because pageants really, really want girls with high moral value, and they say that you have never had to have a sex work. So I was like, come on, hey man, I mean, if you are going to say things about me, before that, I'm going to tell people. So when I remember the first time I gave an interview to a press, I told them, yes, I was a sex worker and I was a proud sex worker because your society did not give me a job to 9 to 5 and I had to survive. At least I didn't do theft, and I didn't do any robbery. I sold my body and I had my food for that. And that was the defining moment is, yes, this is who I am. Accept me or reject me. I'm here.
That's it's one of those things that always gets me. Like, there's a lot of these standards we see. It's not just in pageant, but that moral compass that it seems like we're
Yes,
even held to something more than anyone else
for
is. Like,
sure.
why is our moral failing so much worse than anyone else's moral, quote unquote, right?
yeah.
Well, talk about having to adhere to an artificial standard.
Yeah.
And but I love that, the moment you said is challenging it right up front. And it's like, here is everything that you can throw at me, and I'm going to put it on the table for you.
Yeah. And
And go ahead.
yep.
Like, that's the power. That is the power.
Nas,
Um,
how can we best uplift trans leadership, especially in countries with limited representation? And unfortunately, I feel like we're our country, the United States, is getting to a point where our representation is being limited de facto by our policies and administrations and government in itself. So, how can we best uplift trans leadership, especially in countries with limited or ongoing
Yeah.
battles?
See, as I think we mentioned that it's very important to have education. If we are educated, well educated, and we don't give up in schools that, look, hey, I am not going to school because I'm molested, or I'm being tortured, or I'm being molested. No, you should go to school. Don't give up in school. And education is very important. And unless until we're going to have education, we cannot have leaders. For leaders also, we need to have education of our society, our problems, and also apart from having the knowledge about problem, we need to have the answer to solutions. If we cannot provide solutions to the world, what are we going to do with the leadership? So I think it's very important for us and for everybody to promote education. I think if we are going to promote education, we will go miles.
Hmm.
oh, I think we're all so education's a big thing for me, and I feel like that's a separate big part of what I'm going to be working on for the pageant, but we'll get to that. I wanted to ask, because of all the work you're doing and the platform that you have, one of the reasons I asked, I really wanted you to be able to talk with us, for me to also ask you to tell everyone how they can support the work you're doing, how people can get involved, how they can make what you're trying to build even bigger. Because I know there's a lot of challenges faced internationally trying to help. So how can people help right now? How can people, if they want to join, get involved, and what can they do to make it the success you want it to be?
Well, I think small little steps at a time can do a lot of work. And they must think that they have to do one good deed in one day. Like, they should make up a point that today I am going to bring smile to somebody, maybe by feeding a burger or by feeding anything, maybe a cup of tea to a poor person. I mean, that doesn't cost millions, that costs few bucks. And yeah, I think that is what one should do. And one should think about society as a whole. One should not think about I, me, myself. One should actually think that, oh, I am the part of society. And one should not have hatred to the society. One should actually feel that we are part of one whole family, because the entire world is now one family. Thanks to internet, today we are on a different time zones. I am in India, you guys are in US. We're still talking on this internet, and it looks like we are all in one room. And I think, yeah, all need to really, really think about others before we think about ourselves. And we should make a mission that for maybe smaller missions, like even like for a day. Like tomorrow is the day that I am going to feed 5 needy people, or tomorrow is the day where if I have the money, I will sponsor a child's education. Because when you are educating a child, you are educating the entire nation, or maybe a girl child for that matter. Because in India, a lot of girl children also they are deprived of education. So I'm talking about when we talk about gender equality. So we are talking about in India right now trans equality. Well, forget trans equality. We don't have women equality either till now. I mean, we don't have like like in Bollywood, pay scales of a female lead is much lesser than the male lead. You know, but women are working towards it. They are getting now, I mean, some of the girls in Bollywood are getting more paid than a male lead. But that is not going to work. We have to really, really think that we have to apply changes, which is not just temporary, which is like for lifetime. And considering everybody equal is one of the big things that one can, one can do to bring change in the society. I think we should all try to, irrespective of trans man, trans woman, man, woman, animals, let's treat everybody equally for that matter.
I know you said last question, but this is something that you touched on that I have to ask because it's something we're seeing a lot in the US right now on pushback of sort of we have a little bit of the same, like women are not exactly equal in our society either, but there's a certain segment of the population that feels that by including trans women, it's taking away from real. Is that something that you see in India as well, or is there more of a solidarity between trans and cis women in India than here?
Yeah, I mean, we do have that thing, but in sports, like in sports, they are not allowed, are not yet allowed in sports. Well, about talking about other factors, like, talk about passion, talk about beauty, there, trans women do get equal opportunities. And when we talk about corporates, no, not again. I mean, women and trans women, they'll have to do a lot of, there's a lot of strict competition and trans women are given only the jobs which are like basic level jobs and yeah, and they are not going to be promoting as CEOs for the next couple of I think decades. So it is going to take a lot of time, but yeah, we do face discrimination between women and trans women, definitely.
I thought of when you had brought up the story of the spider that you had written when you were younger. I thought about how it had failed 7 times, and then it finally made it through, and it made me think about in my own story how I fail and I fail and I fail, but I begin to succeed when I let my community in to help build me. And I think that, so much of, well, this podcast itself has only grown because of the community. And I think specifically in the United States, our culture, our policy, our world has been pushed to alleviate, or not alleviate, but to eliminate culture, to eliminate these third spaces together. And so, I think to your story, failing and failing and failing, and I think it's it's with the help of community that we get ourselves out of the poverty, out of the disastrous places that we're in, that the system put upon us. And I feel that community is what has saved me, has what brought me out of deep dark places. It's what's helping me. It's going to help me survive these next few, years, and specifically this month. And I I want to I'd like to ask, what does community look like for you? You're modeling that now. What's the vision for, decades down the line? What do you envision it to be? What kind of world do you see that builds upon the work that you've been doing now?
So I would tell you that we have changed. We have seen the change in the society in India in past decade. Like what we saw in 2015 and 2025, there's a lot of difference. A lot of difference means in a way that now some parents in India are supporting their children in transitioning. They are supporting them. We have a lot of influencers from our community who have come forward on Instagram and on social media, and they are earning good money. They're getting good collaboration. Also, when we spoke about when I said that beauty is one industry which has made us inclusive. So the kind of collaboration that a woman influencer of beauty category will get, even trans people are getting the same kind of barter collaboration or paid collaboration. They are getting the same kind of thing. And in years to come, I will see that we will have a lot and lot of leaders from our society and community. And I feel that the discrimination that we're talking about today will be much lesser, much lesser in the coming future, because I have seen a terrific change in past 10 years in India. I think in the next 10 years is going to be even going to get better.
Sounds good. Can you bring it over
I
here?
I have to ask, this is a really important question. What is Naz, Naz, what is your favorite meal and why?
Favorite meal?
Food.
Hard
Yes.
questions, right?
Very hard question. No, I think my favorite meal is like home cooked food. We cook rice and we cook lentils and all that. That's my favorite food. I'm very simple. I'm a very simple human being. When I'm modeling when I'm there on the stage. I'm a different woman altogether. But when I'm home, I'm a very simple person.
Mm,
I absolutely understand that completely. Being, people think that pageant, it is definitely just putting something on to be on the stage, but I'm a very boring person. Honestly, I'm sitting at home playing video games with my dogs, and I'm in a tank. Like I'm being able to do that. So related food question. What do you think of American food?
American food. Well, it's delicious. We do have a lot of American food in India. But yeah, I mean, what do I say? It's going to be controversial, but then it really makes us put on a lot of weight if we because we overeat it. Like in India, we have got burgers and all of we really want to have it. But then yeah, but it's delicious. The food is good. The only thing is, yes, it because we don't work out so much. Like there's not much happening in terms of you talk about fitness sector for the community itself. People are not joining gyms and all, so we put on a lot of weight by having American food.
mm. I
So do
like
we.
bangin barda. Bangin barda is one of my favorite dishes. Um, so I really have enjoyed our time today. I think this has been a beautiful conversation. I want to thank our audience for being here, for tuning in week after week and just showing up because that's how we're making it through. That's how we will make it through is each other. This world is very vast and it's very big, but I think that through all of the horrors and the darkness out there, that I think it's each other that keeps me going. It's all we have. All we have is each other. And so thank you, audience, for being here. And for those that are listening that would like to be a part of this program and have their voice heard, please email us at transnarrativepodcast@gmail.com. That's transnarrativepodcast@gmail.com. Or if you're on Kristen's live, you can just message her. Then no, I'm kidding. Um, so again, thank you, audience, and Dylan, thank you so much for being here. It's good to have you on your first episode as guest co-host. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. I'm glad I gave you a lot of editing work to do for the first one.
That's okay. That's okay. That's
Leave
okay.
that part in. Leave
Yes.
that part in. Don't let him take it out.
No, I won't forget. I'll forget that part anyways. Audience, you'll hear it. You'll be like, I forget. So no, because then it's anyway. So and Kristen Birdie, my goodness, I love having you here. Thank you so much for being here with
Had to
me.
be.
I can't wait to have you on again, which I'll message you about here like right after. Be like, oh, I already got the date for October. So and Naaz Joshi, my goodness, this has been I love this so much. This was so uplifting, and I just so thankful to have this space to gather with the community and tell our stories and just be present and not have to be anything other than ourselves. So, Dylan, any final thoughts, comments, or any questions you'd like to leave us with?
Actually, just kind of a final thought. If anybody wants to, follow Naz on Instagram or follow the journey of this pageant or follow anything she's doing, there's a lot. There's a pageant page that, Miss Universe Queen, and there's Naz's Instagram. But please follow this journey. See what's coming in India. The pageant will be in December, and there'll be so much more. If you want to find out how to be involved, just reach out because there's so many ways you could support the work that she's doing, and more. There's always more story to tell. So I just think that that's the
Right.
final thought.
And if you'd like to learn more about Nas, you can visit her very own Wikipedia page. Also, Kristen has a
Yeah.
Wikipedia page too. Speaking of Kristen,
Yeah.
any final thoughts, comments, or concerns you'd like to leave us with?
Now I'm trying to figure out how I can get to India for the pageant, but I don't think it'll happen.
We got to work on some documentary grants there. That's what we're saying.
There
This
you
would be a
go.
great journey to follow.
Yes. Well, everyone, really thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank
And
you.
Nas,
Thank
Great.
thank
you.
you.
Thank
And
you so much. Thank you.
thank you. And
Yeah.
as we depart today, I would just like to know, Nas, what message would you like to leave our audience with to carry in our hearts for the rest of this week and for the rest of our lives?
Well, only one thing which I want to tell is that never give up. Because there were many times in my life which I wanted to give up, but I just here because I thought that I will never give up, no matter what. Good times, they don't stay. Bad times, they don't stay. They are like seasons. They will come and go. So don't just feel sad. Be happy, no matter what. Just be happy all the time.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in today and watching. If you'd like to listen to more episodes, we have about 130 episodes available across a multitude of platforms. We're just now getting back into uploading on videos, so stay tuned and look for that notification to let you know that we've got a new episode out. We release episodes every Monday at 3 a.m. Eastern Time on Spotify, Apple, and any platform that you get your podcast, and YouTube video will be out by Wednesday. So thanks for tuning in, and if you'd like to be a guest and or learn more about this program, please email us at transnarrativepodcast@gmail.com. That's transnarrativepodcast@gmail.com. And thank you again for being here and tuning in with us. I'm Caroline, and this has been the Transnarrative Podcast on YouTube.